Welcome to the Life Science Success Podcast. It's great to have you here.
Likewise, pleasure to meet you, Don. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And if you wouldn't mind, just tell the listeners just a little bit about yourself and what led you to life sciences.
Yeah, I graduated as a pharmacist, and then I chose to practice life sciences marketing. I started in the career. Actually, before that, I actually carried the bag. I was a pharmaceutical rep for a little while,
Oh, wow.
and then I switched to pharmaceutical marketing, built up my career there. Got lucky to join Abbott at the time they were launching Humira, and I got a chance to work on Humira launches globally for about 6 indications in 54 countries from 2006 to 2010. So hundreds of launches, and that really got me thinking about the inefficiencies of launching new drugs and bringing lots of different people from different functions together to deliver a shared message to our customers, the physicians. That's what actually led to my entrepreneurial journey. So it's all connected right from the beginning to what I'm doing today.
Yeah, and I guess as I think about it, right? So, how do you jump from sales and marketing though to now leading a company? Tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, so initially, as a rep, you learn how to talk to physicians and how to take your message in a very customized way to doctors. And then you're doing marketing, you're thinking about different kinds of segments that you have for different indications, different physicians, different kind of focus areas, hospital doctors versus private practitioners, and so forth. And essentially, you're always working with people. And then when you're launching products, you're working with different functional areas. The focus changes from external, outward looking physicians to internal looking to say, hey, how do I get medical affairs and regulatory affairs and commercial and R&D and clinical development and supply chain and manufacturing, all of which must work together to bring new drug to market. How do you make that happen? And that switch from the external looking to internal looking was what led to what I'm doing today.
Wow. Yeah, it's quite the journey, though, as well. And I would imagine that there's a bit of a mindset shift, right? I mean, so you have this sort of tactical execution of what you have to do or how you're executing to now pointing that strategic vision as well. Is that right?
Yeah, but unless like in the pharma industry, there's an adage to say, unless you've carried the bag, you really don't understand what the industry is all about. And unless you have faced that struggle when if you are a rep selling Humira or presenting Humira to doctors and you have Remicade and Enbrel behind you or years ahead of you, you understand what it's like. And once you've felt that challenge, now when you turn internal and start to work with different factions of your company, you are that much more aware of why this work is so meaningful and ultimately how this impacts. Because pharma industry, I mean, everybody gives it a bad rap about what it does, but without it, we wouldn't have the lifespans that we have, the health that we have, and the kind of treatments the industry puts out. We wouldn't have any of that. So I feel it is really important to do what you can to accelerate the journey of new drugs so that more patients get benefit to live healthier, longer lives.
Yes.
And that's really very satisfying because because when you're a rep, you're not only seeing the physicians, you're seeing the patients who are visiting them, and you get very intertwined with their lifestyle to a certain extent.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure you're walking through those same lobbies or sitting with the
With
sick
them,
patients, waiting for the physician in your appointment for sure.
and
So,
you're hearing stories, you're watching them, you're seeing the pain, and you just somehow it's a very human compared to working with machines and computers. I've actually started working in a very walking the halls, like you said, in hospitals. Lots and lots of people. So a people business. I think pharmaceuticals is a people business and a science business and a very noble profession. And that's why I got into pharmacy because I thought it's a very noble profession. And that desire to spend your life doing something uh, bigger than your just I always tell this is one of the things that I say is in life we must all try to be a net giver rather than not net taker, rather than being a consumer and leave the life as a net giver, so that the world is richer because you existed. Because that's the difference between humans and animals. Animals consume what they have to sustain themselves, but humans can add something more than take what they can um, to sustain themselves. And pharmaceutical industry is a great example of that.
Yeah, yeah. It's I mean, I love the contrast that you're making, because I do feel like there's this empathetic side that a lot of people in our industry have, and oftentimes it's not credited.
Hmm.
Um, as well, that hey, look, the pharmaceutical industry is greedy, might be something that somebody would
Hmm.
say, right? But on the other side of that, oftentimes you have people that care very much about the patients that they're trying to serve.
Yep.
I mean, it's not always, at every level of the organization about the dollars, and certainly eventually it has to be, so that you can continue that sort of evolution of the drugs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
So this leads us to a great transition, I think, to talk about Uniper. So tell me about Uniper. What does it do? What sort of technology do you have?
So Uniper is an AI machine learning platform focused on the journey of drugs, right from discovery, when you have bench scientists working on assays and preclinical research, all the way through clinical development to planning the launch of a drug in one country or multiple countries globally, right through ensuring supply chain and life cycle management programs are running on point and on time through the sunset when the drug loses its exclusivity. So the entire journey of a drug is made up of a series of projects and programs that different functions take on, and no one function uses the same tools that the other function does. So the tools that I use in discovery are dramatically different than in development, and completely different than marketing, let alone supply chain and manufacturing. But all of them are working together to bring that single drug to market for the benefit of the patients. Now, if you do not have these tools talking to each other, understanding each other contextually, chances are that you have got a lot of inefficiencies in the system, which ultimately means that your approval, your from the patent life is shortened because you don't have enough time in the market. So your time in market is reduced because you take that much time developing, approving, and reaching patients, and therefore your returns are shortened, which means you have that much less money to invest in the next therapy, invest in the next drug, or help other patients. So it's really important that efficiency is there. Now, I noticed that if you can make these technologies talk to each other, these databases underlying these each tools talk to each other, you can improve the connectivity of data points across the journey of this drug. So that's where APIs come in. So Uniper is made up of two words: unification and prediction. So U and I is uni is from unification, and PR predict is PR from predict, right? So unification is using APIs to connect different tools so that they're contextually understanding each other, and then adding a layer of machine learning on top, understanding the trends that led the data to where it is, to make predictions to where things might be in the future, so that as a leader you can make proactive decisions about what you're going to see in the future, so that you're not always just scratching your head when things already have played out and it's too late. You are thinking ahead of time. Don't just think about what's red, yellow, green right now. Think about what could be red, what could be yellow, what could be green in the future, so you can do something about it while you still have time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, an amazing way to think about, where some of the disconnect might happen in this overall, process. When clients first come to you, what are the things that they're looking for? What sort of problems would they describe that they have?
So it depends dramatically, depending on the customer. Like, for instance, we have a med device customer, a top 5 company in the world, and they want to bring out a new product. Let's say it's a smart bed, right? And that has got hardware components to it, of course, which are being manufactured in different facilities, or research and design in different facilities. But there's also a software component to it, the monitor that is attached to the bed that monitors the patient, all the software that is being written to it. Now, all of this is happening in different parts. So a president of this company came to us and we had a conversation, and they said, what I'd like to do is to see the entire process. We need to get this product in multiple hospitals globally, And we need to understand where things are so that all things, all different work streams across different functions in different locations are all talking to each other so that we get to launch the product as early as possible. That was a unique problem they had. So we worked with them, and in fact, we were able to pull the launch potential launch date by 2 months. So and that was a quite a big achievement for them and for us. And then we were a small biotech company. This is a company that was started by ex-Moderna founders, and they invested a lot of money to start a new company, still an RNA company, but they had multiple programs and they wanted to accelerate these programs in their journey. So from the get-go, you wanted to use some technology platform that made sure, because they had a small team internally, but lots of external suppliers, vendors, partners, CDMOs, CROs, CMOs, they're all working together to make sure that the company could progress as soon as they can. So they use Uniper as a glue to connect all these working parts within their company and their external collaborators and partners, so that the small company could punch way above their weight. So it depends. A smaller biotech versus a large pharma company who's launching a new product. In, let's say, there are two top 20 companies that are using our technology to launch some 215 different countries with a series of oncology drugs, and they are using it to make sure that both these partner companies could collaborate well together to make sure the launches go smoothly. So it can vary, but at the root, it's all about planning and execution. Mm-hmm. It's all about connectivity. It's all about machine learning. It's all about AI using predictions to foresee where challenges lie ahead so that you can do something about it. That theme is across the board, but how it plays out depends from company to company.
Okay. So I want to pick apart a couple of things with regards to the way that you might approach it as well. So let's say in the big hospital bed company that you talked about, they probably have an ERP, a project management system, whatever. And then in the mid-size or smaller size, maybe they're using one or two tools, but they may not have the whole full suite.
Absolutely.
So tell me what is the difference in terms of integration for your tool, between those two? What does it look like?
That's a great term that you just used, integration, because integration has really taken the world by storm, the technology world, and APIs everywhere. And I try to tell people whenever I talk with them, there's a difference between integration and unification. They're not the same thing, although they both relate to APIs. So what's the difference? Companies like Snowflake, Databricks, they are truly able to take raw data streams from multiple different tools, bring the data together, and so that executives can see it all in one place and query the data and analyze it in tools like Power BI and Tableau and what have you to make decisions. That's all integration. But where you miss is that how is the one type of data affecting the other kind of data? That context, that how this data affects that is missing, which simply because there's just too many different types of data sources and different types of data in one place. Let me take another example of explaining this to you. So imagine you have two in an arithmetic problem. 2 multiplied by 3, you get 6, right? 2 times 3 is 6. And 6 is a new entity. 2 has lost its own identity. 3 has lost its identity. 6 is a new entity. And you see this 6 to say, okay, we've got 6 programs in the making. But how those 2 affecting those 3, that's lost. We look at it from an algebra point of view. This is A and this is B. A times B is AB. But in AB, you can still see the A, you can still see the B, and you understand how A and B are related to each other. That's the difference between unification and integration. So what we do is, depending on the company that we are working with, what kind of tools they have, we bring those together. For example, you want to bring epidemiology data together with your program data, with your finance data from ERP, with your resource data or time tracking data from some other tools. It depends on what tools you have, what kind of problem you're trying to solve. Our purpose is pull the data from different sources, understand the connections that we have there, build it so you can see it physically in one place, and then you add machine learning on top. So a lot of the companies talk about AI all the time, and they're very excited about AI. What people don't understand, AI works on data, and data needs to be harmonized to make sense in order to make quality projections. If
Right.
your data quality is not good, if it's not harmonized, if it's broken, if some has 3 legs and some has 5 arms, you will not be able to synthesize any meaning from the AI predictions that's coming on. So we not only integrate, we unify, that means add context, harmonize so that the quality of the data is good, and then we make prediction on top. That's how it's different. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I mean, from I guess the other, I mean, because you already mentioned like Snowflake and Databricks. I mean, the other sort of thing that I saw come about as we went through COVID was a lot of the pharma companies went out and said, "Hey, look, I want a data catalog so we can tag all of this stuff.
Right.
We want to be able to find it better and know what it was used for and relocate this data." The challenge, though, that I hear in your description as well is that they're not getting any additional benefit from that. It's not, there's no additional thinking that's going on that's saying, hey, look, if you've run into another spike protein problem, here's essentially, other spike protein, answers that you could have. And it seems to me like, your solution at least thinks both about the development as well as sort of the long-term, impact as well in combining all that data.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think in your example, tagging is one thing, and you can tag this that this is a tag A and tag B, and you have tag C. So you can search the system, show me everything that's got tag A, B, and C, and bang, you've got some molecules or some entities or some
Right.
targets that come up. What is more important, I think, at least in biology or it's also in technology, how A relates to B. When A is present, what happens to B? What's the consequence? What's the context? And then what happens to C? That metadata, that contextuality is so important so you to understand that why we should think about ABC or ACB or BAC. That context is completely different. Just having ABC alone is not enough.
Right.
And that is what our system is trying to do with unification, adding contextuality to the connectivity between different data, not just blindly integrating it, but actually unifying it.
No, right.
And that's what we do.
Makes sense. So, I mean, we're here at Bio, and I'm just curious, what are you hoping to get out of the conference?
Well, I'm here. I mean, we are growing rapidly, and I'm here to meet some of my customers, say hello to them, and also understand some of their peers who we have not had the chance to meet them through them, so that, like, for example, in a top 5 company where you have a decent footprint in one area, one function. Now in this conference, other functions are present around this. So I have an opportunity to meet other parts, other people from the company where they could also potentially use us. So if you are only in research, the people can say, hey, meet our people from supply chain or meet our people from manufacturing or from commercial. And now they also have awareness that there is a technology that could help them accelerate their processes there. That's number one. Number two is meetings with people I've never met before who have no idea we exist. We're an emerging company based out of the Bay Area and San Francisco. So we are still young, and just spreading awareness about that we are there and we are looking at a problem in a new way and creating a new category of software. That is the second most important, I think, objective that I have. And then I'm really excited to be talking to you, Don. I've got other of your peers, talking to them. It's all about spreading awareness, because what I learned in MBA school was essentially whenever you're establishing a new category, educating the market is the single biggest challenge that you have, and you need to apply every single possible method in order to increase awareness about your brand, about your solution, about the way you're thinking about a new problem or an existing problem with a new solution. And that's really what I'm trying to do when I'm visiting these conferences.
Yeah, very good. And last question. So what do you envision for the future for Uniper? So what do you hope, if the world is perfect, where do you hope that this goes?
Well, so I think another theme that I'll touch on is, and what really inspires me is that I've seen that a lot of the times the policy of divide and rule is what people have used to think that that's the way to gain power. But my thinking is that whenever you see human civilization or any human settlement or any new kingdoms that lasted long, it's always when people came together, when they collaborated, they worked together, and they solved problems together, when they were not co-fighting. So less competition, more collaboration always produce better outcomes. So our company's mission is help people unite and thrive. Instead of divide and rule, I want Uniper to become a company, a technology, a facilitator of bringing people together so they can come together and unite and thrive and grow together. And that's why the technology that I've built and the product that we are building, it's all about how do we unite people in a team? How do we unite different teams? How do we unite different functions? How do we unite different therapeutic areas within a company? How do we unite different business units? How do we unite different collaborating companies? How do we unite an industry? So I expect Uniper to grow and help not only life sciences, and when I say that, I mean pharma, biotech, medtech, med devices, diagnostics. So companies in life sciences, help them work together within and with each other, but also as I look outside of life sciences, I expect Uniper to play a role in aerospace industry, in semiconductor industry, in oil and gas, wherever you have complex programs and partnerships and the success. And it doesn't just take a village, it takes a town or a city to succeed. I expect Uniper to be a solution to raise its hands to say, allow us to bring you all together in a meaningful, contextualized way so that all of you understand how you can work together to make something happen.
Well, thank you, Andy, for being on the Life Science Success podcast. I enjoy that description of the future. It sounds very bright indeed. So thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you so much, Don. Really appreciate your time here.